What is up, guys? Toss a coin here. Today we're going to look at how to combat the Gjall and our best option to handle them. When I first entered the Mistlands, these were probably the most intimidating enemies, especially with the noise they make. The Gjall can be overwhelming when you first encounter them. They hit hard, they do damage over time, and they drop the ticks. Not to mention the terrain in the Mistlands can be unforgiving, making it even tougher to fight them. My first tip for fighting the Gjall is you can normally hear them before you see them. Depending on the area, that means you can shoot them down before they even get close. If you haven't used the bow much, then I recommend using the arbalist. If you have been using the bow, then I recommend sticking with it. Use the best arrows or bolts you have available to you. Carpus bolts are easy to come by, and frost arrows are probably my favorite option for bows. As you can see from this clip, I was the one who got the drop on the Gjall, so I got the first shot off on it. I would like to mention that this means I got sneak attack damage. The arbalist has a little bit of knockback on it, so every time I shoot it goes back a little bit. I will say the pathing on the Gjall are kind of disappointing sometimes. Like, I figured he would just make a straight beeline for me, but at this point he's doing a full 180. And then I guess he's going to try and turn around again on me. But yeah, bow or crossbow at range is by far the easiest method to take these guys down. They don't really pose much of a threat. This guy's not even coming at me at this point. And just like that, I killed him without him even touching me once. If you are not so lucky as to see them from the top of a mountain or from really far away, then that leads us to tip number 4. Barley wine is your friend. It only takes 10 barley and 10 cloudberries to make 6 barley wines, which I think is extremely worth it. And then it lasts for 10 minutes, giving you fire resistance. The barley wine completely nerfs the Gjall's fire damage and makes them a whole lot easier to deal with, even if you're wearing a root chest like I am here in this video. This leads me to tip number 5. You can use your harpoon to pull the Gjall to a more favorable position. In this clip, the Gjall was all up in some trees doing some weird stuff, so I decided to pull him out into the open where it's more clear. Just make sure you watch your stamina when you're using this, because you don't want to get caught without any stamina. Tip number 6 is get under the Gjall. The Gjall struggles to fight enemies underneath it. It can still spawn ticks while you're under it, but I don't have that happen to me all that often. Sometimes it'll even still try and shoot its projectiles at you, but it'll struggle to hit you as long as you're underneath it. And then we have tip number 7. Aim for their weak spot. Their brightly colored belly is their weak spot, and you can crit them when you hit them there. I personally like to use a spear because of the lack of a reload or draw mechanic. As you can see, while I'm underneath this Gjall, I try to keep on positioning myself underneath it, while I just aim up and just keep on tossing the spear. I think this is probably the fastest way that I know of to kill a Gjall. And last spear throw. Boom, just like that, made short work of that Gjall. Next, I want to show you how our gear helps protect us against the Gjall. In this clip, I'm seeing how much damage the Gjall does to level 4 padded armor. That hit me for 16.3 damage and then left me with a fire damage dot of 5.2 a tick. This second hit did 14 damage with a fire damage dot of 4.5. Mind you, it is tough getting accurate damage on the dot because if you get hit twice, it stacks with the last hit. Just a heads up, in the top left corner, I'm going to be putting an average of the total damage you would sustain for one Gjall hit. That includes the initial hit and the full dot, all 5 ticks. Next up, we're testing the level 4 padded armor, but with a root chest instead of the padded chest. This was the armor set that I was recommending from my last video I made in Valheim. If you're interested in checking that video out, I'll make sure to have a link at the end of this video for you to click on. That attack hit me for 21.2 damage and then left me with a dot of 10.2. Remember that fire damage dot ticks 5 times. Then we get hit again for 22.1 with a dot of 10.6 this time. So with the root chest piece, I'm taking an extra 6 to 7 damage from the projectile, and then the dot is doing twice the damage. I'll be honest with you, I don't think you can safely take more than 2 hits from the Gjall without any barley wine. This is going to be our third and final test, padded armor, root chest with barley wine. This is going to be a really good example of how effective that barley wine is at resisting that fire damage. So this first one hits us with a projectile damage at 13.8 and then a 2.2 dot, and then I take that second hit and the damage stacks like I was talking about earlier, bringing that dot up to 4 damage. That's still really good though. This one hits for 11.5 damage with a dot of 1.8. And then this one hits for 12.8 damage with a dot of 2. Then I get hit that second time right after, which pushes us up to 3.6 dot. 13.9 with a dot of 2.2. I'm getting battered here. I'm just taking straight shots, way more than the regular root chest would, and I'm still fine health-wise. I think this just goes to show how strong barley wine is, because the root chest piece takes extra damage from fire, as you can see from the numbers, but the barley wine completely nullifies the root armor's fire weakness. I can definitely say barley wine isn't mandatory to have in your inventory, but I'm 100% sure this would have saved me tons of times when I first encountered these guys. Personally, I'm going to make sure I have an open slot in my inventory for the barley wine. Hopefully you enjoyed these tips and can put them to good use. If you have any tips for me, leave them in the comments. I'll see you next time.